Hey everyone, so let's talk about that feeling you get at the grocery store. The one where you look at your receipt and just think, how did this happen? Well, you are definitely not alone. Today we're going to break down the real reasons your grocery bill is so unbelievably high here in 2025, and what the official numbers actually tell us about the cost of putting food on the table.
So here's what we've got on the menu today. First, we're going to put a real dollar amount on that new, painful grocery bill. Then, we'll dive into where the government even gets these numbers. After that, we'll investigate what's really going on behind that sticker shock, including a sneaky little trick called shrinkflation. And don't worry, we'll end with some real strategies you can use to take back some control at the checkout.
All right, first up, the new grocery bill. That feeling, right? That little clinch you get when the cashier announces the total. It's become totally universal. And let me tell you, it is not just in your head. The data absolutely backs this up.
Which really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? What does it actually truly cost to feed a family these days? Let's put a hard number on that feeling you get at the register. Okay, here it is, $1,351. That, according to the USDA, is the new monthly baseline for a family of four on what they call a moderate-cost food plan. That's over $16,000 a year, just on groceries. Wow.
So a number like that, where does it even come from? In this next part, let's pull back the curtain and decode these official numbers to see exactly how the government is calculating all of this.
Okay, what's fascinating here is that the USDA actually has 4 different plans. You've got the Thrifty Plan at the bottom. That's what SNAP benefits are based on, at just over $1,000 a month. But then look all the way at the top. The liberal plan is over $1,600. That is a massive $630 gap every single month. It just shows you how much more breathing room some families have to handle these price hikes.
And, it's not just about family size. Age makes a huge difference. This right here, this really highlights what we could call the teenage premium. It costs nearly double to feed a teenage boy on the most basic plan than it does to feed a toddler. For families with growing kids, that is a massive line item in the budget. Now, on the flip side, you basically got a penalty for living alone. Think about it. Single-person households can't really buy in bulk without wasting food. So to account for that, the USDA slaps on a 20% cost multiplier. The bottom line is, if you live alone, you're paying a pretty big premium per person for your groceries.
So we know the official numbers are high. We get that. But even they don't seem to capture that gut punch we feel every week. So now, let's get behind that feeling. Let's uncover the real culprits that are driving up your bill.
It really is a tale of 2 different inflations. The headline number you hear on the news, the food-at-home inflation, is a pretty calm-sounding 2.7%. But that average number is hiding some wild swings in the stuff you actually buy the most.
And this chart shows that disconnect perfectly. Just look at proteins and drinks. They're soaring up over 5%. Meanwhile, dairy has barely budged. So what does that mean? It means the essentials, the things that are literally the center of your plate, are going up at almost double the rate that you're hearing about on the news.
And this always brings up that one question, right? Why do prices seem to go up so fast but take forever to come back down? Well, economists have a name for it, the rocket and feather effect. Prices shoot up like a rocket when costs for things like fuel or animal feed go up, but they drift down ever so slowly, like a feather, when those costs fall.
So let's name some names here. We have to start with the poster child for this inflation crisis and one of the biggest offenders of the past year: eggs. Yeah, at its peak in early 2025, the average price for a dozen grade A large eggs hit a jaw-dropping $4.95. This basic, fundamental protein source pretty much became a luxury item overnight.
So, what on earth happened? Well, it was a total perfect storm. First, you had avian flu outbreaks that forced farmers to cull millions of hens. Second, it takes 4 to 6 months to raise a new egg-laying hen, so you couldn't just fix that supply gap quickly. And third, new cage-free laws in some states tightened the national supply even more. It was just one thing after another.
But eggs weren't the only protein causing problems. Our next culprit is facing a much, much bigger long-term issue. Let's talk about beef. Now, the key thing to understand about beef is that this is not a temporary spike. The U.S. cattle herd is at its smallest size in over 70 years. Why? Well, severe droughts force ranchers to sell off their breeding stock because they just couldn't afford to feed them. And rebuilding a herd takes years. So that means we are pretty much locked into record-high beef prices until at least 2027.
But you see, the price you see on the sticker is only half the story. There's another, more hidden type of inflation happening. You might have heard of it. It's called shrinkflation.
So what is shrinkflation? It's when companies make their products a little bit smaller, but they keep the price exactly the same. It's a super stealthy way to raise the unit price, the price per ounce or per sheet, because they're betting you'll notice a big price jump, but you probably won't notice that the box is just a little bit lighter.
And here is a perfect example you've probably seen yourself. That mega roll of toilet paper? It might look the same, but if you look closely, you'll see it now has about 13% fewer sheets. You're still paying the same price, but now you just have to buy it more often.
And it's happening all over the store. Look at the beverage aisle. The classic 64-ounce half-gallon of orange juice has been quietly replaced by this new 52-ounce version. That is a massive 19% less juice, often for the exact same price. It's happening right under our noses.
Okay, so prices are higher, packages are smaller. It all sounds pretty bleak, I know. But it's not hopeless, not at all. Consumers are smart, they're adapting. So in our final section, let's look at exactly how people are fighting back and taking back their power.
People are getting creative, and it really boils down to 4 key strategies. First, trading down. Switching to store brands can save you 20 to 30%, often with no real drop in quality. Second, they're using apps. Cashing in on digital coupons and cashback offers is like getting a little rebate every time you shop. Third, they're shifting proteins, swapping out that super expensive beef for more affordable chicken or pork. And finally, they're buying ingredients, not convenience. They're avoiding that huge 40 to 100% markup that comes with pre-cut veggies and other pre-packaged stuff.
And all this really brings us to one last big idea. In this new reality, just being a passive shopper, well, it isn't really an option anymore. All the trends suggest that to really protect your family's finances and keep good food on the table, you almost have to become your own household supply chain manager. It's a whole new ball game. Thanks for tuning in.